Alrighty, so thank you again for joining me on this daily market analysis. I am doing super. Had a good trade, had a couple of good trades on the US yen yesterday right after our session as it was dropping. I was scalping it down, selling it down. Traded the pound up, traded the euro up for the short term. Glad it was for the short term because it popped up and then it just sat right across. So I hope you guys have been doing well with your trades as well. I don't know whether Lin Lee's on the session, but Lin Lee was just sharing earlier that he made a good 80 pips on the yen to the downside yesterday. So I hope you guys did well too. Hey Ju Marinas, how are you doing? Hey Jimmy. Right, if you are new to the session, do remember to drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. And for all the regulars, a big welcome back. Thank you again for joining me on this daily market analysis. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. You can help me out massively by remembering to click on that like and subscribe button. That little thumbs up button does help so that we can get more people onto the stream. All right, and the link for the Discord channel, I'm pretty sure most of you have. Actually, I'm very sure most of you have, but the link for the Discord channel is coming up, right here. So if you haven't already, do make sure you join us on the Discord channel as well. Okay, today we are going to be talking about the market in general, but paying more attention to the ECB interest rate decision later on at 8 p.m. I think 7:45 or 8 p.m. Later today, GMT +8. We'll talk about that. I don't think it's going to be a big price mover today, but we'll see. I'll tell you why as well. Okay. So quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade financial products, so please remember that your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Now, that done, take that away. Right, so what has happened? What has happened since the last time we spoke? We will see that a whole bunch, we went through all of that, but there wasn't a lot of news that followed. But right after our session, our daily market analysis session yesterday, I'll zoom in a bit, right there. So this was where we were, this was when I was rambling on about the markets, talking. We saw the dollar yen at 3 o'clock was at 157.82. Within the hour, pushed down to 157. And then the analysis that we had from yesterday was a sell down from 157.10. Stop loss of 40, take profit of 120 to the downside. Right after the session, I was like, oh, it's coming down, catching the momentum. You see that it was crossing over to the downside as well. So we were selling this, or rather I was selling this down, continued on that chat on the live stream, right? So I had one position where I was writing it down, and then I had another position that was scalping it. So I was like going in and out of the trades down from 157 to that hour. Also, why I got out of that, I'll show you, is that it was way outside. So just within the hour, it was just way outside of the Bollinger. Came down, I think I closed my big trade just under 100 pips. It was like 95 or 94 or something. Between 90 to 95 pips, I can't remember now, to the downside on the US yen. Way outside of the Bollinger, said I had to get out of that trade, because I didn't know whether, especially on the yen, I didn't know whether it was going to shoot back up or come back in and sit right there. It did eventually go down to our take profit of 120, but it only happened at 7 a.m. this morning. So I was very happy to get out of 90 something pips within the hour rather than to wait for many hours later to get out at 120. Okay, So that was my US yen trade to the downside. The question that we have, or the question that the market is asking is for, I'll take that away. Right, the question that the market is asking is that for this move down, right, or why did the yen push to the downside at that time? It was very odd timing. There was no major news. Nothing crazy was happening, but yet we saw the yen go down from 157.80 down to 156.10, almost 156.10 to the downside. The question was, hey, was this an intervention from the BOJ, right? Was this an intervention from the BOJ? Overall, within that 2 hours, it dropped about 176 pips. There seems to be more likelihood that it's an intervention, a small intervention, a brief intervention. I feel that my personal opinion and view is that it seems a bit too small to be an intervention. I actually think of it more like there has been, since Thursday last week, right, it's found this level, it's failed to break. There probably was a lot of orders down there. So once it came down, it triggered an avalanche of orders that led to that big push to the downside. Right? So I don't think it was an intervention. It could be, but I don't think it was. I think that it was just a lot of orders at that point, and then we just saw it trigger orders, a big volume of orders that saw that drop. It came down, and it's just sitting along that 156 level right now. At the same time as when the yen was dropping, we also did see that the dollar index was also breaking that 104 level to the downside, and it set in that consolidation after that. So it pushed down from 104.03 down to 103.71. So just within the hour push to the downside again, right? You see that this was a 61.8 from that March rise all the way to April, and 61.8 has held. So that move up, 61.8 came close in May, held, came close in June, held again, and then came close in July, held, and when it finally broke, zoom back in again. When it finally broke that level, all right, we saw again possibly that that level, that 104 level, just breaking, and then we had that chat, right, melting away to the downside. The yen fell out a bit, dollar melting away to the downside. I think that it was more just a technical level, a round number technical level that just broke, and then we saw things just crash right through. So that was the yen. We also traded the pound up briefly from the 1.3 level, right, 1.3010 level, up to that 1.3040 level again. I highlighted this out to, I think, everyone on the live stream and on Discord as well, that as the hour closed on the 5 o'clock candle, my 5 o'clock candle, it was way outside of Bollinger Band. It was outside of Bollinger Band. It was highlighted there going, be careful guys, it's outside. I think it's going to retrace. And then next moment you see the hour, it retraced right back in, and it didn't form the next high. In fact, it came right back down, and then I'll tell you more about that shortly. Right, same thing with the euro. I actually did a little bit of a naughty thing. I got in a lot earlier than that 109.25 level, right? So as I saw the dollar pushing down, I got into the euro a little bit earlier at 109.20, and then traded up within the hour outside of the Bollinger Band, closed out that trade. So within the hour, did a lot of trades on the pound dollar, the euro dollar, and the US yen, and then that's it. I was done for the day, I was done for the night. Sat there looking at prices, set trade right across, wasn't very keen on getting to any other positions. So, you know, put it into the chat. Let me know, how did you go on the trades, on the volatility yesterday. I do know that a couple of you had said that you missed out on the moves. You just wasn't watching it at that time. It's also okay, because, you know, you don't want to be have that fear. You don't have that fear of missing out, and then you get in right at the top, and the next moment it comes right back down and you're stuck in a position. So it's okay. If you miss the move, wait for the next one. It looks like we might see another move. Hopefully, right after this session, we'll get into more trades again, but we'll see how that plays out. Okay, so that was what happened yesterday since the last time we spoke, or right after we spoke. This morning at 9:30 a.m., we had the Aussie employment numbers. Aussie employment numbers was a bit mixed. It was a bit mixed, right? Because unemployment rate for the Aussies went up as expected, as entirely expected, from 4 to 4.1%. A slight increase on the Aussie unemployment rate, while employment change, a bit surprising, it was 39.7, got revised just a little bit down to 39.5. Expected a big slowdown in employment change, but it came out at 50.2. Right, so 4.1 and 50.2 on the employment change. What we saw on the Aussie was right at that point. So I put in that news there as well. Right, with that news there, we actually saw the Aussie just form along that support level, pushing up on that hour. Not a big change, a bit of a mixed data there, increasing unemployment rates, increasing employment change numbers. It pops down slightly, it popped back up. It's still sitting along that support level, haven't formed a move, or haven't formed a stronger move yet. So we're still waiting on that. I was going to say at the same time, but not at the same time. At 2 p.m., just 1 hour before this session, we saw claimant count numbers. Claimant count, this is the number of people claiming for unemployment benefits in the UK, going from 50.4 revised up to 51.9. Expected 23.4, came out at a 32.3. Slightly more people claiming for unemployment benefits. So this is a number that you don't want to see increasing, right? This is a number you don't want to see increasing, because it's telling you more people are claiming for unemployment benefits, which very straightforwardly we saw that hour, the pound dollar went from 1.3 down to 1.2984, right? Came back down, and it's just sitting along this point right now. Okay, so nothing super exciting since over the last couple of news, the Aussie and the pound news. But what we have but what we have coming up at 8:15 p.m. GMT plus 8 is the ECB main refinancing rate, the ECB's interest rate decision on, when it loads, on June 6th. A month ago on June 6th, the ECB took interest rates from 4.5% down 25 basis points to 4.25. It came out as expected, that cut of 25 basis points. It probably was a little bit earlier than expected, 1 month earlier than expected, but we did see a cut, right? And as we saw that cut, what we saw on the euro, let me find the 6th of June. Where was it? Right, on the 6th of, was it 6? Yes, on the 6th of June, right there. Right there. So it came out at 1.08 1.867. It shot up, came right back down, and it closed off at 1.0882. Not a big change. Nothing, not, in the overall scheme of things, within that hour, we saw a blip or a spike up of 33 pips, and that's with the decision cutting rates from 4.5 to 4.25%. A rate cut decision, and we only saw it push up 33, 34 pips. Not super exciting. So with the news tonight, I actually did think, should we be, for the Discord members, should we be trading this together on a live Zoom session? But I don't actually think it's going to be a big price mover. I don't think it'll be a big price mover tonight. They are looking to hold at 4.25%. It's most likely that the policy statement and the press conference from the ECB is going to reflect or comment that they have cut rates a month ago. They're going to give it a bit of time to see an impact. They gave it a lot of time to see an impact and come to a rate cut decision. So they're going to give it more time to see an impact. And also, if you look at yesterday's CPI, final CPI year on year for the euro, 2.5%, core CPI 2.9%. So they're well within their the ECB's mandate of 2 to 3%. Right, they're well within that 2 to 3% mandate. So they're more likely to go, okay, CPI, core final CPI is at 2.5. No big push to try and cut rates further. There is a bit of time on their side to see what happens. So they're more likely to keep it at 4.25. Comments on the press conference or questions for the press conference and answers are probably going to be, we've done our first move. We're going to give it some time. We're going to be data dependent. We're going to wait to see what happens. So I don't think it's going to be too super exciting unless President Lagarde comes out and says something very different. I think that we're likely to see the euro dollar find a good support at, no, that's resistance to the support. Find a good support level at this 1.09 level. It might push down a little bit, but we might see it find a good support along this support area, 1.09 area. So that's the ECB press conference, the ECB interest rate decision, and the monetary policy statement for later. Unemployment claims, I'm not too bothered about it. That's again a weekly number. Through to tomorrow, we have, not worried, retail sales number for the UK. Looks like it's going to be interesting where it goes from 2.9 to minus 0.6. We'll look at that during our live stream, monitoring the markets tomorrow at 2 p.m. And then we'll end off the week next week, tomorrow, with retail sales number for the Canadians. Again, looking like it's going to go from a 0.7 to a minus 0.5, right? So again, don't get fooled. I'm not going to try and guess the retail sales number this time around, but you can see that, where are we? You can see that the retail sales number here for the US was a 0.1, came out at revised up to a 0.3. They were expecting a minus 0.3 and it came out flat, right? So retail sales number there are many factors. Why retail sales number? I could guess GDP, I could guess CPI relatively confidently, but retail sales numbers are a little bit more finicky. I don't know what the word is, right? A little bit harder to figure is because retail sales number, you have PMIs that could be affecting it. You have GDP that could be affecting it, employment that could be affecting it as well. You have seasons that could be affecting it as well. So there are many factors that could be, well, consumer sentiment, especially inflation, right? And so all of that put together does play a part in what the number comes out for retail sales. So it doesn't mean that, and this is why I don't, not one of the big news that I focus on. So it doesn't mean that, you know, when you look at retail sales going from 2.9 expected at minus 0.6 or a 0.7 expected and minus 0.5 is not always the case. There are a lot of factors that can play into it. Okay? So with that, the main thing, coming back to the focus, the main thing for the rest of the day is we're going to see what's going to happen on the dollar front, and then also pay a bit of attention to the ECB rates decision later on tonight. All right. So before I move on, good morning, Nev. How are you doing? Hey, Christina. Hey, Pips Apprentice. Hope you're all doing well. Now, with this, let's have a look. We don't need this dotted line. We know that's a 61.8 from back here, but I'll still keep that area. Okay, I'll keep that area there. Now we look at this. Checking this, if I took this down, take that away for now. So we basically what I've got is this whole move, right? I'm even okay if I deleted that, because that's done. It's hit 61 and it's done. But we're looking at those swing levels. So I've got that area there. I've got my dotted line here as a bit of a interim level. We've got that move, it's set right across. We've seen that push down. We've seen this bearish trend line to the downside. I'm happy with that. Okay. Now I'm looking at this. Let me put that in. That's my 50% level. I have 23.6 right there. Okay. So now looking at this, what you should be thinking about is that the dollar, well, we're done with that. We've seen it push down. Take that away. Yesterday we were talking about this to retest around number 104 before breaking down to possibly 103.50. It came as low as 103.65 and it's sitting in that consolidation. What would be ideal? What would be ideal is for it to consolidate, to push up and test and come back down again. Right, to retest this 104 round number support turned resistance level. Sure thing, Diana. Okay. I'd like to see that. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is that dollar index. It's consolidating. I'm looking, could retrace to 104 resistance. Could retrace to 104 resistance, test, and reject to trade down to 103.50. Okay, the main thing is that it needs to stay below 104.20 to remain somewhat bearish. Okay, so it needs to stay below this 23.6 level. It needs to stay below this trend line as well to remain bearish. So it could push up to this 104 level. It could push up to this trend line level before we look for it to push back down again. Okay, so it could do that and then back down again. That would be the most ideal because I like to see a little bit of a retrace before continuation, or it will sit there and then push down. But I think that let me think. Sit there. Because what's going to happen? I feel that today you can see that there are no major news on the dollar, but it's likely to be driven by the volatility / liquidity on the euro. So that's where it's going to be, it's going to form it to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm just thinking that if the euro, okay, push up, back down, I feel that the decision point is going to be in this area here. Right, it's going to be in that point where it could reject back down again, or it could bounce and break through from this point. It almost looks like the downward push on the dollar might take a bit of a breather right now. Okay, so I'm looking for that. Consolidating right now, could retrace up to that 104 resistance, a test and reject to trade down to 103.50. Needs to stay below 104.20 to remain bearish. If it breaks through, most likely will be because of the euro weakness going down, then it's going to push the dollar up. It'll be breaking through that point. Now you could see it come up to as high as that 104.60 level. Okay? Yep, that's what I'll be looking out for. Then onto the Kiwi dollar. We've seen that come up to that 61.8. It didn't push as high as we expected, so take those away for now. 61, that's fair. Push down. What you probably will be looking or should be looking out for here on the Kiwi would be for it to trade down, test that support and bounce back up. Right, so dollar now gaining a little bit of strength, pushing back up, and then possible weakness. So we're looking for this to test and bounce off that support. I'll be happy with that. Then I'll be looking with that. I'll be looking at 6060 stop loss, 20 pips, take profit, break above that point, back up to that trend line would be about 50 pips to the upside. Okay, so we're looking at it to bounce off the support. You'll be looking to buy at 0.6060, stop loss 20, take profit 60, 50 to the upside. 50 to the upside. All right, there we go. Now with that, I like that. Yes, okay, I'm happy with that. Then onto the Aussie, we've seen it sit. It's sitting right in this support level. We've seen the news being a bit mixed with the unemployment rate at 4.1, employment change being a little bit positive. We've seen it push back up. There has been a lot of questions about, you know, head and shoulder pattern, a bit of a double bottom. Take that away, that didn't trigger. Well, there's a head and shoulder there. Not a perfect drawing, right? We also have a bit of a double bottom here along that support level, which could form that bounce. I would think that if we see that dollar test and reject, you'll be looking to buy the Kiwi up. Maybe if the dollar does regain that strength back, we could actually see the Aussie break that support level, 6715. Yep. Stop loss 20. I think that would be very optimistic to look for 80 to the downside. Right? I think a 40-50 pip move to the downside towards this level would be more reasonable. Yep. So I'll be looking for that instead. 6715, you should go a little bit higher, 40 pips, 20 to 40. If we see that dollar strength come back into play. Test. If it fails to break, if it breaks, then we can go down. If it fails to break, we can bounce it back up. But we also have the Kiwi for that. Okay, so I'm happy with that. 6715, 20 to 40 to the downside. 6715. Stop loss 20, take profit 40 to the downside. Okay. Good. Happy with that. Then the big question here on the US yen is whether it is an intervention or not, whether it was an intervention or not, we did see the yen push down, right? We did see the yen push down yesterday through to today. It's pretty much gone a good 300 pips to the downside, right? So from yesterday through to today, a good 300 pips to the downside. The question is that going to continue? Is that going to continue pushing lower? I am probably looking for it to push lower, right? I'm definitely not looking to buy it back up yet. I think that the momentum of it pushing lower is quite strong. That one is done. We can take that away. We can take a couple of that away as well. That doesn't make sense, but take it away. Okay. That's my support and resistance level. Okay, so now I'm looking at this. And what I want to see is for it to break past that point. 155.75. If it can break that level, then we have 154.75 down here. So another good 100 pips or a little bit more to the downside. All right, so we've seen that. We've seen that push, retrace, and then a big drop. We've seen that drop, retrace, sit around there, and then the big drop. So what I'm looking out for here would be on the US yen, if it can break that 155.75 level, 155.55, stop loss you'll be looking at a good 40 pips. Take profit, you have 70, you have 80. I don't think you'll get to 170. I don't think we'll get to 170. I think that would be reasonable as a first target level. All right. So I'm looking at 155. Continuation of that downside on the yen. 155.55. Stop loss 40. Take profit 80 to the downside. Okay. Sitting there. If we look at this, that's fine. If we took the whole move, needs to stay below this level, which is fair. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So it's consolidating in this point here. We're looking for it to basically bounce around, sit within this area, and then it could do this, and then after that do that, right? Or just sit along that level and then push down. So that's what I'm looking for on the US yen. Onto the pound dollar. Remember, we had claimant count numbers. Claimant count increasing slightly. This was a question we had on the Discord channel where we were looking that the, where could the pound dollar retrace down to, right? And I was, just before I went to bed, I was answering that question, was that I was expecting it to come down to that 1 point, where was it? Let me just check what I answered on that. 1.2980 to 1.2970. 1.2980 is right here, 1.2970 is right there. So I was looking for it to come back into this range. It came down, almost tapped 1.2980. I was thinking that it would come back into this range. Right, they will come back into this range where it sat there, and then we saw that breakout. So dollar index, you see that gaining that strength, pushing back up, looking for it to test that resistance. That's pushing down. I want to see it come back into this range. Right, I want to see it come back into this range. Now the question is, do we think that it's going to come back into this range and break lower? Or is it going to come back into this range and bounce? I have the euro, okay. We do have the retail sales number for the UK tomorrow. What I think it could happen is that it come back in. It needs to stay as a first target level, it needs to stay above 1.2945. But then we could see it push back up. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is a bounce. I want to see it push up on dollar weakness. You're seeing that sit there. We're looking at about that point. I think it's going to be quite similar to yesterday, 1.3010, stop loss 25, take profit 30 to the upside, We can even go up to 75 to the upside. I don't actually like this. I don't see why it should have that big push. You know, I think that the safer option is that you look for it to go above 1.3050, and if you can break that, you might have a better setup that way. So you can go first target at 40 pips, and then you have that at 90. That at 90 pips. Okay, so I would like that a lot more. What I mean by that is I'm looking at the pound dollar. We're looking to buy at 1.3050, stop loss 20, take profit 90 with a hesitation at 1.3090. 1.3090. There we go. That's what I'll be looking out for. Then on to the euro. Seen it sit right across. We've seen that push to the upside. Remember that we were looking at the let me just change that. Okay, that's fine. We were looking at the 6th of June where it, you know, they cut rates and we saw a small blip to the upside. What I'm looking at is this point, and in addition to that, I'm also looking at this pushing up. Okay, so that's what I'm looking. That trend line is holding it. I'm actually looking for it to sit there. I want to see it test and bounce to the upside, anticipating that dollar weakness. Very similar to that move, right? Very similar to that move on the Kiwi. On the euro, I'll be looking at it to bounce off the support 1.093, no, too far, 1.0925. Take profit 50, stop loss 20 at the very maximum. Right, so come down, sit in consolidation, come down, test that support, test that trend line. It might even look like it's breaking a little bit, and then after that, push back up that way. All right, so 1.0930, 20 to 50 to the upside. 1.0930, 20 to 50 to the upside. Okay, super. Now, sit there, that makes sense. Okay. US Swiss franc, again, I think Linley was asking about this. We saw that drop together with the dollar index dropping. Didn't catch this move at all. I was too busy on all the other trades. A good 55 pip move to the downside. Let me know if you caught that. Now that it's sitting along this support level, this is the resistance. That previous swing level, we don't need all these anymore, and in fact we're done with that as well. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is that's a good resistance area, that's a good support area. Don't need that. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit again. So that's our support area, very tight area there. We are possibly looking at that gaining back down again, right? because if I just do that right across, you see that when it breaks this level, we do see a bit of a continuation to the downside there. Right, at least to this point, if it breaks that, it'll come down to 8728 or 8730. So what I'm looking for here would be like that. Sell down 8815, stop loss 25, take profit 35 would be a hesitation level. I would say take profit would be 85 to the downside with a hesitation at 8782 or 8780. Okay, so 8815, 25 to 85. Let's put that in first. Sell down 8815, stop loss 25, take profit 85. I'm actually considering whether it can bounce. I think the bounce could happen, but I wouldn't be looking to buy it up. So we'll be looking for that move first. If it bounces, then we'll look to sell it back down again. And hesitation at 8780. Okay. Hesitation at 0.8780. There we go. Okay, then onto the US CAD. It pushed down, came very close, bounced back up, sat right there. I would say that it is. I would think that it's likely to sit in this area like that. So you got that push up, you have that area sitting right across there. What I would actually be quite keen to see, if on the flip side the dollar recovers, then I'll be looking at breaking higher 1.3710. I keep talking about 1.3710. Stop loss 20, take profit, you have 45, you have 70 to the upside, like that. So we're looking at it to push up, consolidate, look for that breakout to the upside. 1.3710, 20 to 70 to the upside. We're looking at, if the dollar recovers in strength, you'll be looking to buy at 1.3710. Stop loss 20, take profit 70 to the upside. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. Now take those away. Okay, this one is ECB news pending. Position pending. Then on to gold. Any questions, do let me know. Remember, help me out, click that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I know you're mostly very good with that. Gold, same thing. Yesterday we were talking about this. Very oddly, if you look at this, very oddly, we saw this push back down while the dollar sat in that consolidation, right? Dollar sat right across, but yet we saw, I think, some level of profit taking on gold, where we saw it come back down to retest that support level at 24.50, right? So we're looking dollar weakness, price trade higher. I would be looking at the same thing. I think that given that it's retraced, I'll possibly be a little bit more bullish to think that if it can break above 24, 80, we could see 25.20. I wouldn't even have 25 there, 2500 there. We break up, break 24.50, trade up to, or could trade up to 25.20. Right, dollar weakness continues. Price could trade higher, break 24.80, trade up to 25.20. There, done. Alrighty. Short and, well, not really short and sharp, as expected. So I don't see anything massive at this point, but we can't rule out another big move on the dollar yen. I think pound could be that retrace. We're looking for that. Euro is going to sit there to the ECB. Aussie and Kiwi, a lot of tails and shadows you can see sitting right there. So very undecided. I think that we're going to have to wait, especially for the ECB to give a little bit of direction, not just on the euro, but also onto the dollar index. I think that's going to make a lot more sense. So don't rush into any trades right now. It's sitting in consolidation. Wait it out. The trade setup will come. Okay, so if you haven't already, do help me out. Click that like and subscribe button. I will keep the stream running. I'll keep the stream running continuously. We're looking at any possible trade setups. And then if you have any trade setups, do share it in the chat and let me know. And I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll chat with you all tomorrow during the live stream as well. Okay, so take care for now, and we'll jump onto the price or trade companion portion of this stream.